Okay, before we start, I know this video is probably a bit late, but I've been busy. Busy getting over 1,000 subscribers.
This is the greatest day of my life!
Thank you all so much. I haven't come up with any kind of special to do yet, but I am eternally thankful for your support. Anyways, for the actual video you clicked on. In the last comparison video, we took a look at one of Batman's most famous stories, The Dark Knight Returns. A truly great comic with an equally great movie. The man behind a lot of that story was a man named Frank Miller, who is also one of the creators behind this, Batman Year One. A grounded take on Batman's first year in Gotham while showing Jim Gordon's entry into the police department and other supporting members of Batman's cast. Similar to Dark Knight Returns, this book is one of Batman's most famous and has inspired a lot of stuff, most notably Batman Begins and Matt Reeves' The Batman. And in 2011, Batman Year One got a movie that you all requested I cover, along with a bunch of others. I swear I will do New Frontier and Crisis on Infinite Earths, it's gonna take a while, okay? I'm sorry, but I'm gonna get there. Anyways, Batman Year One was a great read, so let's see if the movie can compare. So as we open here, I want to start by talking about something people mentioned in the comments of the last video. For as good as the Dark Knight Returns movie was, a lot of people mentioned how it didn't really show the inner monologues of Batman throughout, but here both Gordon and Batman's inner thoughts are up front and used very often.
But something's missing. I have to wait.
A solid chunk of the co-lead's dialogue is just them in their own head, and that's great. Opening up the actual story here, the narrative is a little different than my past videos. I'm not saying that there isn't a story, because there is. It's just a bunch of connected vignettes centered around Gordon and Batman across the span of a year. I like this unique approach. I feel as if it gives more in-universe time for the Batman's legend to sink in, even if we don't see all of it. Anyways, both of our main characters enter Gotham. Bruce flies in from a plane, and Gordon takes the subway. I want to say that symbolizes something, but I'm not sure. Gordon joins the GCPD, and it's not a pretty sight. Organized crime is a serious problem, and the entire police force is clearly being paid off by the mob to run the city. Jim is basically the one guy who isn't being influenced, and we see that in both his dialogue and how he clashes with his partner, Flass. Flass is your typical self-righteous brute, and handles things pretty unnecessarily. At the same time, Bruce returns to his manor with Alfred at the ready. We see him training and mourning his parents at their graves. After this, he goes out undercover to the red light district of Gotham, where he gets into a fist fight with a pimp on the street. It's here where we first see this version of Catwoman, and personally, I think she could have been done better. Maybe it's just me, but in both versions, she doesn't really get that much development or screen time. Anyways, she enters the fight against Bruce, and they're pretty evenly matched until the police arrive, and Bruce is shot.
It's simple. We kill the Batman.
Bruce is able to knock out the cops and escape back to the manor. As this happens, Gordon is jumped in his garage by some thugs, and he gets warned to play by the rules or his family will get hurt. He recognizes Flass as one of the voices, so he tracks him down and beats him senseless, showing that he can hold his own. Which he did also do back at the garage, one of them just got the jump on him. Back at the manor, Bruce, bleeding out, recounts his parents' death, he himself wondering if this is his time to die. Before a bat comes crashing through his window, a reminder of what he feared so deeply as a child, and he decides that this is what he will become. I really like this scene. It's very reminiscent of The Dark Knight Returns, with the flashbacks and the bat flying through the window. Following that sequence, we see another scene of Gordon stopping crime and being a good guy, which the commissioner and the other corrupt cops don't like. He's being propped up all over the news as this new hero in Gotham, and it's out of the mob's control. Next, we get our first official scene with the Batman, and it's pretty good. He's very capable combat-wise, that was shown earlier, but here I like how he isn't invincible. He's still adhering to his no-kill rule, but he gives thugs an opportunity to attack because of it. He hasn't quite mixed his martial arts with his code well enough yet, but he's getting there. Gordon briefs the force on Batman, listing off all of his offenses and getting a witness statement from Flass. This is also the scene where we're first introduced to Detective Essen, who I'll talk more about later. After that, there's a dinner party at the estate of Carmine Falcone, one of the mob bosses. There we see other criminal higher-ups and Police Commissioner Loeb. They talk about Batman until the power suddenly goes out, and we get one of, if not the most famous scene in the book.
Ladies, gentlemen, You've eaten well. You've eaten Gotham's wealth, its spirit, but your feast is nearly over. From this moment on, none of you are safe.
After this, Gordon and Essen attempt to lure the Batman in with fake acts of violence, and he interrogates Harvey Dent. Jim's trying to figure out if Dent is Batman because both of them are seemingly vicious on crime, but he turns out not to be. It's only when an old lady is about to be hit by a truck in the street that Batman appears, saving her. He scuffles with Essen and Gordon before more cops arrive on the scene and he has to run. I really like this next part. Batman is cornered by a SWAT team that is known for being extra ruthless. His utility belt is lost in the fire and he's been shot in the leg. So now, injured and with limited resources, he has to fight his way out of a burning building, and he does it in the coolest way imaginable. Batman is able to escape, and this definitely influenced Batman Begins, and rightfully so, because it rocks. In the next scene, Gordon and Essen discuss if Bruce Wayne could be Batman before they both leave for the night. As they walk home, rain comes, and the two of them get under an awning, and okay, I have to talk about this now. I've read through all of Gordon's parts up to this point several times in the book, and I just still can't figure out why this happened. I mean, he's happy with his wife Barbara, we see that, but then he cheats with Detective Essen, and it just doesn't feel right. If someone in the comments knows why this happened, I would love to know, because I'm genuinely clueless on this. While Batman continues to stop crime, Gordon is called into Loeb's office, where he's blackmailed into playing along with the crooked cops in fear of his affair being exposed. So, to keep the good fight going, he confesses to Barbara. Then he goes to interrogate Bruce Wayne, who does his best Tony Stark impression to throw Jim off his trail. When we see Batman again, he's spying on Falcone, but before he can get any concrete info, Catwoman appears and the two of them scuffle with Falcone and his thugs. Catwoman has been showing up every now and then, and like I said earlier, I think she definitely would have benefited from more time, but she really wasn't the main focus, so I get it. In his hospital bed, Falcone orders a hit on Gordon's family. The next day, Gordon arrives at his garage and gets into a shootout with hitmen attempting to take Barbara and their son. He's able to shoot down a few of them before the leader escapes with the baby. Gordon gives chase while Barbara holds one of the other henchmen at gunpoint. While he's cloaked in shadow, the man takes off his helmet, and it's Bruce. He had deduced that the kidnapping would happen after what he was able to hear at Falcone's house. He promises to go rescue Barbara's son and chases after the others. Gordon corners the last hitman on a bridge, and during the scuffle, his son gets thrown off, and man, in the movie, the scream just feels so unnaturally real. Everyone falls off the bridge, but Bruce catches the baby and lands safely. Then the two of them reconcile, and I'm just gonna let the scene play out.
You must be wearing armor under that jacket.
Something like that.
You know, I'm practically blind without my glasses. You'd better go. And thank you.
In the last part, Gordon tells us that Commissioner Loeb and most crooked cops have all been rounded up, and Gotham is now being threatened by some new maniac calling himself the Joker. And he concludes the story by saying that he has a friend who should be able to help. Now, I'm sure some of you have noticed by now, I didn't exactly make many comparisons between the comic and the movie. And if I'm being honest, it's because I couldn't really find any differences. I know that may sound confusing, and maybe I'm drifting out of touch, but these two are literally the exact same, even more so than Dark Knight Returns. Even still, the comic feels more impactful, while the movie kind of gives me vibes of, what famous Batman thing could we make a movie out of? But I don't really want to say that, because this is one of the first DC Universe animated movies, before stuff like the new Crisis movies or The Killing Joke came out. So looking at the movie's production stuff now, I know I really didn't touch on the animation that much in the last video, so I'll try a bit more here. Said animation is really good. It's smooth and looks well made. It seems a bit more stylized to capture the art of the book, which is always nice to see, especially when some movies just go with a basic style without any creativity. The cinematography, as mentioned earlier, is almost perfectly synced with the comic, with some shots being ripped right out of the source material. Oh, and another thing about the movie, the credits are oddly really good. They use panels from the comic to show off the characters, and it's got this really good rock song playing in the back. I don't know, I really like it. The voice acting is pretty good too, with some names I didn't expect but were very impressed by. Getting side characters out of the way first, Katie Sackhoff, known for playing Bo-Katan in Star Wars, voices Detective Essen. Both Steve Blum and Fred Tatasciore are here playing cops. Wolverine and Hulk actually work really well together, who knew? Bruce Timm himself cameos as a thug somewhere in there. And for our two main leads, we have Bryan Cranston as Jim Gordon. Insert joke about Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul actors being in Batman stuff.
Chicanery!
Who, if I didn't know was already in it, would never have recognized, because he is so in the role here. He fully embodies Gordon in this, and I think he did a really good job, especially with how he's written.
You don't say!
And lastly, Batman, voiced by Ben McKenzie, who some of you might know from playing Jim Gordon on the show Gotham. I loved Gotham, most of it anyway, and Ben's portrayal of Gordon was a big part of that, and I was surprised how well that carries over to his version of Batman. Now granted, he did this before Gotham, so he's got some decent DC rep now. His performance reminds me of David Giuntoli's from The Doom That Came to Gotham. He's a younger, or fish-out-of-water style Batman, and his voice fits that pretty well. He's still got a gruff tone and the right conviction, but he also has that new-to-the-job energy, and it works great. So, all around, the movie is well acted and well made, but the comic is definitely still better. Don't get me wrong, the movie is worth watching and does a good job telling the story in motion, but I think you'll just take away more from the book. The book in question just presents itself in a very good way and feels like a great window into Batman's beginnings. Like I said earlier, the comic just seems more impactful. Anyways, with that being said, thank you for watching today's video. I hope you found it entertaining and informative. Be sure to like and subscribe to see more like it. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below, and I'll see you nerds later.
Tell me why it ain't nothing but a holiday. Tell me why it ain't nothing but a mistake. Tell me why I never wanna hear you say I want it that way.